Not sleeping under a rock this weekend, and you heard some big news dealing with the judicial branch of government, i.e. the Supreme Court. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Guys, get out from underneath the rock. You guys have your book? Turn to page 101.
Oh, don't put it next to Murphy.
Okay. We received some sad news Friday that one of the 9 Supreme Court justices passed away, and her name was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay, she is in the front row, the only lady in the front row, the really small person with glasses. Okay, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Okay, she was appointed by President Clinton quite a few years ago, and has been fighting cancer for about 2 years now. Okay. All of the people in that picture, guys, have achieved amazing things in their careers as lawyers and judges, and to sit on the U.S. Supreme Court, as you can imagine, only 9 people at a time. Some of them serve for many years, usually until they die. Some will retire. The first woman ever on the U.S. Supreme Court, Sandra Day O'Connor, who was appointed by President Reagan, she did resign. She had serious back issues, and just all the sitting, reading, and writing. That's basically what they do: is they sit, they read, they write, and it was just too much for her. She's still alive, I believe, but enjoying retirement. So, guys, in the news, this is like big because we are like 44 days out from the election. Okay. Now, who gets to appoint Supreme Court justices? The president. Okay. And then those justices must be confirmed or approved by what body?
People body.
The United States Senate. Okay, this is once we get to the legislative branch in the Constitution, the Senate has what's called an advise and consent role. Okay, so they will advise the president on his choice and consent or not consent. Okay, at this point, President Trump is expected to announce his choice this week. From what I understand, there are 4 people on the short list. 2 of them are women, and one of those 2 women will probably get the nod, okay, to replace a woman on the court, okay, which would come down a little more favorable to maybe the Democrats. They'll be voting on this in the Senate as well, okay. Now, there is a lot to do about the timing here, okay, and if you go back to 2016, there was a vacancy when Justice Scalia passed away, and President Obama nominated somebody, but the Senate did not have hearings. Okay, the Republicans controlled the Senate, and so the leader of the Senate is a guy named Mitch McConnell. Okay, and Mitch said we were going to wait till after the election to go through this process. So President Trump chose Neil Gorsuch, who is the tall guy in the back row with the gray hair guy. And so Gorsuch became Trump's first pick. And then, of course, there was Kavanaugh, who's the other guy standing in the back. Okay. Now, at the time, Democrats in 2016 said, we need to push this guy through. President Obama gets to pick his guy, and the Senate needs to do their job, advise, and consent. Okay. And the Republicans said no. Okay. So now the Republicans are saying, yes, we need to confirm this person. And the Democrats are saying no. Okay. So you can go back and pull up video of both parties saying we need to do this or we don't need to do this. And now they've switched sides, obviously. Right. Okay. So let's look at history. Okay. What history in the past, we have confirmed people in election years. In fact, Justice Ginsburg, who just passed away, her confirmation process was done in under 45 days. Okay, so this is doable. Obviously, guys, this is a big deal. Now, if you look at the court, turn to page 103, okay, at the bottom, okay, down here, okay, you can see how the court is split, okay, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg was considered a liberal, okay. So right now, as the court stands, there are 5 conservatives and 3 liberals. Okay, if President Trump gets his nominee through and gets approved by the Senate, it'll most likely be 6-3 conservatives. Now, Chief Justice John Roberts, who is the Chief Justice, it has become somewhat of a moderate. Okay, so he goes against the conservatives on some issues. So Roberts is kind of playing that role of moderate, the swing vote, because the last few years, I'd say the last 15 years, okay, you've got conservative, you got liberal, okay, and that'll make a lot more sense when we're done today. Okay, so you have 5 and you have 4, okay. Roberts, the Chief Justice, kind of plays that moderate role sometimes, so you have 4 and 4 a little bit. If that makes sense, okay? In this case, you could have, in a sense, 6-3, but if Roberts continues to be that moderate, okay, you still have 5 votes, and that's what you need is 5 votes in the Supreme Court. 5-4 decision stand, majority opinion. Okay, so this is very good for conservative thinking people if President Trump can get somebody confirmed before the election. Okay, and it doesn't really have to be done by November. It just needs to be done by January 20th. So you actually have more time than just before the election. Now, they'll try and get it done before the election, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if any of you guys were paying attention to when Justice Kavanaugh was going through hearings. But it got ugly. Okay, they brought up some stuff from his high school years, and they had some women come forward and accuse him of things that he did in high school and college, maybe. Okay, now his record, you know, as a lawyer and a judge, I mean, was impeccable. He hadn't had anybody come out since then. In fact, back in high school, nobody came out. So when this woman came out about some high school party that she can't really remember where it was, but she just remembers this, it became a whole fiasco, okay? And it was ugly. And it's not the first time it gets ugly over Supreme Court justices, okay? Clarence Thomas, who's the only African-American on this court, if you look at that picture on 101, he is a Catholic, and he is a conservative. Okay, Justice Thomas, right here. His confirmation hearings were very ugly as well. There was a woman named Anita Hill that had worked for him while he was a judge, and she claimed sexual harassment. Okay, and so she actually testified in front of the Senate and so forth, and so. It's an interesting process. So we may be seeing this process go hand in hand in the final days of the election, which just adds intrigue to the whole thing. Okay. So this will be something we will be paying attention to. We will hopefully see Senate hearings. Okay. So this will be done in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Okay. So the people that sit on that committee, the chair of that committee is a guy named Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, Senator Graham. Okay, there were protesters outside his house last night, his home. Okay, this has gotten pretty crazy. All right, so you can look at history and say this has been done before. You can see what the Republicans said in 2016 when they didn't want Obama to get a pick. You see what the Democrats said, and they're all being hypocrites. They all said one thing in 2016, and they're all saying something else in 2020. Okay, that's politics. All right, yeah.
So did they wait until after the
They wait until after the election.
So they should wait until after the election.
You can say that, but the thing is, see, back then you had a Republican Senate, and a Democratic president, and now you have a Republican president, Republican Senate. Okay, and you're fine to have that opinion that they should wait, and a lot of people do. Okay, but some people think they should move forward, and it's in the Constitution. There's nothing that says you have to wait, and there's been several times where they haven't. 2016, since the Republicans controlled the Senate, they controlled the calendar, and they said, we're not going to do this until after the election. So we'll see what happens. And then the Senate could change. Right now, the Senate is 53-47, Republicans to Democrats. Okay. What's that? So we have a senatorial election in Kansas. So you have Democrat Bollier, Dr. Bollier versus Dr. What's his name? What? Marshall. They're both doctors. Okay. Bollier. Yeah. They're both. Yeah. And she's a former Republican. She switched to the Democratic Party not too long ago. Okay. So, Kansas is not decided. Obviously, we elected a Democratic governor 2 years ago in 2018. So this is something we will be seeing a lot of campaign ads in this state. Normally, we don't see a ton of campaign ads because, kind of a red state, and these elections aren't very close between Republicans and Democrats. But that's kind of changing, as is the whole map. The whole electoral map is kind of changing before our eyes. It certainly changed some in 2016. Yeah.
Do you think we might switch to blue state? I don't know who I was talking to, but someone said that it might actually switch.
I don't think we're there yet.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah. But if you look, like Minnesota is like a hardcore blue state, polls are very close there. So Democrats are trying to break into Kansas, break into Texas. Republicans are breaking into Minnesota, trying to get into Colorado, breaking into Nevada, and so forth, which would be flipping states. Okay. In 2016, Trump won Kansas by, I think, like 12 percentage points. So you would have to get a lot. Now, as far as the senator goes, have we had Democratic senators? Yes, we have, from Kansas, but not very many. And we've definitely had Democratic governors. Okay, and a lot of that comes down to who's the better candidate. I mean, the Republicans put up some pretty crappy candidates for governor. Okay, and that's on them. That's on the Republicans. Okay, and you put up a bad candidate. I remember, like, one of the first years I was teaching here. This is when his name was Schellenberger, and he was running against Kathleen Sebelius, the Democrat Sebelius, and she's Democrat. She's got this kind of grandmother thing going for her. She speaks well. She's coherent. I had that guy Schellenberger come to the library and talk to our seniors. Okay, this guy, he was out of his league. I mean, he couldn't even answer questions from high school students, and he lost. Okay, he's a bad candidate. Chris Kobach, who they put up at 18, not a good candidate. People don't like him. The Republicans didn't like him. I mean, some did, but not enough to win. Okay, Roger Marshall's a likable enough guy, so I think he'll win. But I don't know that for sure. Okay, so let's talk about the thing we've just been doing for the last 2 weeks, and that is whatever page you're on, 7. Okay, now there were 23 issues that we did. Okay, and what I want you to do is add up your yeses and nos. Did you guys fill that out? Hopefully you filled it out. Some of you might be doing some last minute circling. Get it done. Okay. pretty interesting. I got a text from, I don't know if you guys know Austin Myrna. He graduated a couple of years ago. He sent me a text and said, "Hey, Mr. Ebright, do you have that sheet that we did in class?" So I sent him a copy. He's trying it out on somebody. Okay. Everybody do the math? Okay, you do not have to participate in this if you don't want to, but it is kind of nice for me to kind of know who I'm talking to and how people think, so I can cover all bases and so forth. So if you want to participate, I'd encourage you if you would, but you don't have to. Did any of you have 16 or more yeses? Sam? Come on, 16 or more yeses. Raise your hand. 1, no, 2. That's it. Okay, 14 or more yeses. Okay. Did I have any 14 or more no's? 14 or more, yeah. Or 16 or more?
So 4 yeses, 4, 14, and then I switched, sorry.
Okay, so would you be in this one or this one?
The 14.
Okay. Any more of those, 14 or more no's? $16 or more no's?
What are you? I'm not a liberal, sorry.
Okay. Okay, this is interesting. Okay. And then, did we have some in between? There you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. There's my moderates. Ashley, did you play?
Yeah, I thought it would be moderate, but I'm not.
What did you do?
I was 14 more yeses.
Okay. I counted you.
I'm not good.
Huh? Okay. All right. Wow, this is interesting. Okay. We have changing demographics here. Okay, so. What's that? Okay. People that had 16 or more yeses, those Sam and. Okay. Did you have 18 or more yeses? Yes. Yes. Okay. You gotta watch out for these two. Okay. 18 or more. Okay. You guys are right wingers. Okay. But anybody at 16 or more would be considered conservative. Okay. Which I tend to get more of those. This group is a little different. That's okay. Okay. Conservative and right wing, or someone, political scientists would refer to this as reactionary. Okay. Reactionary. Okay. 14 or more yeses would be pretty mainstream Republican. Okay, so 14 and above, you tend to identify with the same beliefs of the Republican Party, kind of the Republican platform. Okay, moderates we'll talk about later. Okay? 14 or more no's, mainstream, okay, Democrats. Right, and then down here we get liberal, progressive, not on this list, but I'll talk about it. It's coming. Okay. Now, did any of you three have more than? Did you go 18? 19. Oh my God. Okay.
Oh my God.
19, 18 more or no's would be.
Yeah, I'm a socialist, but I know it'll never work, so.
But we can do it better than they've done it before, right?
No.
You guys do it right.
It's on! It's on! Yes! Okay. Okay.
You guys
because we can all get along. All right, this is good. All right, so that's usually at Bishop Carroll, and this, I don't know. I'll see what my other classes do, and then the people at home and so forth. But I only had 6 people my first hour, which is a very small sample. Okay. Now, what I want to do next, okay, I had a question about libertarianism. I'll get to that, I promise. Okay. But what I want to do next is talk about the right wing and left wing. Okay. So if we have this. Here's your wing. There's our 5 people in the middle. That's the fence, and you're on it.
I'm gonna roll.
Okay? Get off the fence. All right, now,
I think I was very close to
you go to the right, okay? You get Republicans. Stay with me.
I'm just handling this.
You go further right, you get conservatives. Okay? You go further right, you get reactionary. Okay? And you go all the way to the right, political science will call this fascism. Okay? That's why you got to watch out for those people over 18. Okay? You come to the left, you get your mainstream Democrats. Okay? Come further left, you get liberal. Progressives, okay? Progressives tend to be pretty liberal, okay? And then you get out here further, you get socialism. And then you hit the left-wing communism.
Communism is the same as fascism.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be talking about that. Just give me a second, okay? Now, sorry?
What about anti?
About what? Anti-fascists. Well, they act like fascists, so I'm not really sure. You know what I mean? Well, no, listen, like, if you've seen some of the videos of, like, people kneeling, you know, to say, I'm sorry for being white and that sort of thing, or you see people, you know, outdoor restaurants. There was that clip of that group of BLM movement and Antifa, and they were getting everybody to raise their fist to say Black Lives Matter, okay? And there's this one woman just sitting there, and they're all around her going, raise your fist, say it, say it, say it, okay? That's crazy behavior. You know what I mean? That's the anti-fascists, Antifa. These people are more like anarchists than, you know, anti-fascists. Okay, if you listen to them talk. Okay, now they say, well, we're anti-Nazi. Okay, well, so am I. So is Sam, even though he's a right winger, he's anti-Nazi. Okay, aren't you? Yeah.
They were stupid.
Okay. So, now, have you seen the mug shots of the people they're arresting that are members of Antifa? Okay, these are pretty radical people themselves. Okay, so I'm not sure if they've done this, but I think they've classified Antifa as a terrorist organization. So, what's that?
I think that's what Trump said.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get being anti-government, anti-racism, that sort of thing. People are free. You just can't break the law. You know what I mean? We're free. You can be anything you want in this country. Okay? You can join the Klan if you want. It's legal. Okay? You can join the Black Power movement. That's legal. Okay? You can be a Nazi in this country. You can be a communist in this country. You can be anything you want. We live in a free country. Okay? Now, where are most Americans? Okay, obviously most Americans are in here, right? There's different time periods where you see we are more of a center-right country rather than a center-left country. There are times when we move center-left and center-right, but generally we're in the, you know, in the mainstream. Now, about 20% of Americans consider themselves conservative, okay? And about 20% of Americans see themselves as liberal. Okay, everybody else is kind of in between. All right, now these moderates are the people that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are trying to win over, but they're also trying to win over other parties. So there are some Republicans that don't like Donald Trump, okay, that are going to vote for Joe Biden. And there are a lot of Democrats that voted for Trump in 2016. That's how he won states like Pennsylvania. That's how he won Wisconsin. There's a lot of Democrats in those states, but they're blue-collar Democrats. Okay, these are people that may not have a college education, that work, manufacturing, and feel left behind by the Democratic Party. So they're both going after each other. Biden is trying to play the moderate role, okay? So when he was running against Kamala Harris, when he was running against Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, the Democratic Party knew that the American people would not vote for a socialist. Okay, we're not there yet. Okay, so what did Joe Biden do? He moved to the middle to get the nomination, and it worked. But if you look at the people that are advising him and who he chose as vice president, Biden is moving to the left for the general election, which I don't know is a good idea. Most of the time, politicians will move to the middle to try and get these people. Okay? Yeah, Sam.
Another thing is, do you have an idea of how old this Biden is?
He's 78, I believe. And Trump, I think, is 74.
I don't like these to live through his election.
Well, if you're voting, you have to consider whether Biden will make it through his first term. He's already said it's going to be one term for him. Okay. So you have to take in consideration who his running mate is if you're voting. Okay. All right. Now, stay with me. Okay. Now, this left wing, right wing thing is easy. It's easy to understand, but it's not very accurate. Okay. So let me get you to turn. I think it's to page 9. Oh, it's actually on page 6. See the circle there? Okay. So as Sam was saying, fascists and communists have a lot in common. They do. Okay. So we're looking at this right here. Now, if this was in color, the Republican would be red, the Democrat blue. Okay. So see where it starts. You do have some liberal Republicans. You see that? That kind of are on the left, but they're in the Republican Party, and then it goes all the way around to the bottom right. Yes? That's where you get your fascists. Okay? Then the Democrats, you do have some conservative Democrats. Okay? But most of them turn to the left all the way down here to communism at the bottom. Okay? And where they meet in the middle is this totalitarian philosophy that communism, okay, fascism here, communism here, where they meet in the middle at the bottom. You see there it says a willingness to violate the law, or in other words, violate the Constitution to get power and do what they want, to take over. Guys, fascism turns into dictatorship. Communism turns into dictatorship. Dictatorships share a lot in common. Now, as far as the specifics between the two, I can give you a couple things, but I want to save some of that for later. With fascism, is generally what you have is government control over industry. Okay? So this is what Hitler did. This is what Mussolini did. You had private ownership of business. You had private property, private ownership. But the government controlled. The economy controlled your business. Okay? In communism, you don't have the private property and government controls everything. Okay? So they share a lot in common in that sense that they become totalitarian, a lot of control over people, industry, rights, and everything else. Okay? Property. Yeah.
You spelled conservative, right?
On that thing? Sorry. Thank you.
Forgotten all
Okay. Sorry about
conservatives.
that. Incentives. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk. These 23 issues generally dealt with 3 major topics. Okay. social issues, economic issues, so we're gonna call these bedroom. Okay, you've got pocketbook. And then you've got War and Peace. Or Doves versus Hawks. Doves versus Hawks. Okay. Now, you got Republican Party, Democratic Party, and now I'm going to talk about libertarians. Okay. Republicans, Democrats. Okay. So when we look at these issues, those 23 issues, some of these are social issues, bedroom issues, abortion, gay marriage. What else I got on there? Death penalty could be seen as one. Try 14-year-olds as adults could be seen as a social issue. Hate crime legislation. Okay, Title IX. Okay, Republicans tend to be more religious. Okay, so these are value issues. Okay, now because we're in a Catholic school, it's a little surprising to me the numbers weren't a little higher in the top two. But Republicans like to pass laws that promote certain values. Okay, you can't legislate morality. You can't pass laws that make people moral. It doesn't work. Okay, but what you can do, say you wanted to promote the institution of marriage. Okay, you could reduce the tax code for people being married, filing jointly. You reduce the tax code. Let's say you want to encourage people to have children. Well, you give tax breaks, okay, to people that have children. Okay, and that encourages that behavior. Okay, Republicans like this. They like to pass laws restricting abortion. Okay, these sorts of issues. Okay, Democrats tend not to. Okay, it's like it's your own body. You can do what you want with it. Okay, what you do in your bedroom doesn't matter to us. It's none of the government's business. Okay, when it comes to the pocketbook, talking about economic issues, taxes is a big one. Okay, Republicans want smaller government. They don't want to take all your money and do good with it. They think you know better how to spend your money than the government does. Economic freedom. Okay, we're Democrats. They want your money, and they want to do good with it. Okay, these are your social justice warriors and people that feel like that the system is rigged against the poor, and they need to take from the rich and redistribute that through government programs. Okay? And then when it comes to war and peace, doves versus hawks, it really depends on the person. Okay? I mean, if you look at every major war in the 20th century, okay, there was a Democrat in office. Woodrow Wilson in World War I, Roosevelt World War II, Truman with Korea, okay, Vietnam, Lyndon Johnson. Those were all Democrats. Am I here to say the Democrat is the party of war? No, not at all. Okay, it really depends on who's president. Okay, so if we were talking Trump, Clinton, I would say that Hillary Clinton's more of a hawk than Trump. Trump's trying to get us out of Afghanistan, get us out of Iraq. Obama was the same way, get us out of Iraq. Okay? So Trump talks a lot about foreign wars and not getting in those. Okay? He hasn't started any new wars in his first 4 years. He did, really push the effort to get rid of ISIS. Okay? And really did a good job with that. But it wasn't like a war, So this is kind of tough. Where does Biden fall here versus Trump? I think it's kind of a draw. Okay, Trump definitely has a different foreign policy ideas than Biden, and vice versa, okay? But we're gonna do this right here for now, and that does change. I mean, it kind of goes, it's fluid, okay? Now, with the libertarians, the root of the word is liberty, which means freedom, okay? So libertarians do not believe the government should get involved in social issues. A lot of libertarians are pro-legalization of drugs, okay? What you put in your own body is not the government's business. It's a personal choice, okay? You don't have a say in how I live my life. The government doesn't. That's how libertarians believe, okay? They also don't believe that government should be doing a lot. So they believe in small government, constitutional government, government only doing the things that are granted it in the Constitution, okay? In 200 years, we've gone way beyond that. The libertarians are like small government, build roads, have a police force. Yeah, that's good. Okay, pretty much. The military is going to be small under a libertarian, or at least defensive in nature, because libertarians tend to be very isolationist, not getting involved in other people's business. Okay, the closest thing we have to a libertarian in Congress today is Senator Rand Paul, whose father, Ron Paul, ran for president a couple of times. I got a bumper sticker here. Ron Paul, that's his dad. Okay. Rand Paul is a senator from Kentucky, and he has pretty strong libertarian leanings. Okay. There are a lot of young people that are into this, into the libertarian mindset. There is a candidate for president, I think Jo Jorgensen, is that right? And that's a woman, Jo Jorgensen, okay, that is running. Now she may get, 3, 4, 5% of the popular vote, okay, but no electoral college votes, okay. So you have to decide if you have libertarian leanings, whether you're gonna, what some people would say, waste a vote, or if there's a Green Party candidate like there was in 2016, whether you're gonna waste a vote, because in 48 of the 50 states, when we go vote, it's winner take all. So if you win 51% of the popular vote in a state, you get all the electoral college votes. There are 2 states that split those up. You guys know which ones they are?
California and Texas.
Oh. You'll see on here, this Nebraska is purple. All the others are blue and red, okay? So what Nebraska does, they have 4 members of the House, they have 3 members of the House and 2 senators. They have 5 electoral college votes, okay? They draw 5 districts in their state, and each district has 1 electoral college vote. Maine does the same thing. Maine and Nebraska are the only ones that divide up their electoral college votes, okay? So in 2012, Obama won all 4 in Maine. In 2016, Trump won 1 of the 4. So it would be purple on a newer map, okay? Like the Obama won the one around the college there in Nebraska, Lincoln, okay? Where all the college students are, okay? And then, who was this? Romney won the rest of the state, okay? So it's winner take all. So if you vote for a third party candidate, the chances of that third party candidate getting 51% of the vote, well, it's almost nil, right? So you have to decide. Am I that strong of a Green Party person, or am I that strong of a Constitution Party or a Libertarian Party? You guys, we will talk about the political parties in section 3 in here, okay? But we need to start with the Constitution, and the founding, so we get a good underlying picture of the framework, okay, and why we have this framework. So that's what we'll start with in the notes, okay? Second hour, we have about 4 minutes, okay? So it's going to be interesting to see. Last week, Trump made campaign stops. Last night he was in North Carolina, he was in Arizona, he's in New Mexico. So Trump's trying to turn New Mexico. He may even campaign in Colorado, okay, which not too long ago was a red state, okay, but it's changed, okay. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Trump make a stop in Kansas, okay, just to cover his bases. Biden is not campaigning like Trump is, okay. Him and Kamala Harris are doing some campaigning, but you know how Trump does the rallies, okay, and people come. I mean, thousands and thousands of people come. In some cases, they've been criticized, some of them not wearing masks. In others, I've seen quite a few masks. North Carolina yesterday, I saw a bunch of masks. So Trump is working. He's out campaigning Biden. Now Biden is raising good money too. They're both raising good money. So I mean, it's going to be commercials. We got the debates coming up, and I think about a week. Anybody know when the first debate is? I think Fox News is hosting Chris Wallace, who's been pretty tough on Trump. I mean, most of the media is anti-Trump, so I mean, there'll probably be some of that. Joe Biden did a campaign, a CNN town hall last week. Did any of you catch any of that? Okay, so basically, it was kind of cool the way they did it. It was like a drive-in situation where kind of people sat in their cars, and then he was up on the stage with Anderson Cooper, and people get out of their car and go up to the microphone, ask a question, and then Biden would respond, and so forth. Okay. As far as the dementia goes with Biden, okay, because yesterday he had another gap. He said, by the end of my speech, 200 million Americans will die from COVID. Okay, 200 million Americans. We have 330 million Americans in this country. Okay, so he makes some errors. You know what I mean? When he's not looking at the teleprompter. Okay, when Trump's not looking at the teleprompter, there's no telling what he's going to say either. Okay, he gets off. You know, he'll go. If you like Trump, I mean, his rallies are. I mean, he's a comedian. I mean, he's off the cuff. He's, you know, people are laughing a lot. So it's interesting to see this campaign and how normally Biden would be out every day campaigning, but he's not. Okay. Yeah.
Like my thought, I think the angle on the matter is that Biden is trying to basically be a wooden log in comparison to Trump.
A wooden.
Just not saying anything and getting the popular vote by being that.
Right. There is something to be said about that. I was mentioning the CNN town hall. He did, as far as like dementia goes, he did a good job. Now he rambled a lot. You know what I mean? He kind of got the question, kind of answered it, as most politicians do, kind of answer the question, and then he rambled. Okay. Yeah.
Candidates, before they can actually be elected, they have to go through like physical well-being checks, right? And be checked by the doctor.
Yeah, there's nothing in the Constitution that says we have to have them checked out by a doctor. So, yeah, I mean, you guys can judge for yourself. If you watch the news and listen to Joe Biden talk, you can see he's a little bit feeble. But as far as dementia goes, I can't say. He did a pretty good job in the CNN thing about like not losing his train of thought. So, you know, but then, you know, when he's on the teleprompter, he's saying some things that just don't make sense. You know what I mean? And that's typical Joe Biden, though. He's kind of always been like that. When you get him off the script, he says some things, you know. And that's kind of endearing to me because I like when people go off the script because then you kind of really get to hear how they feel. You know what I mean? So, all right, hope that was good. Hey, you guys really need to tune in tomorrow for notes, because I'm starting. Okay? You guys take care.